this evening on the last meeting of this administration, and of course to thank President Richard Rees for his leadership for the admin year 2020 to 2021. And of course, I look forward to his continuing support. Of course, I'm going to ask visiting clubs that are here with us this evening to identify yourself and your division. Are there any clubs visiting from division outside of Jamaica, an overseas club? But now I move to clubs that are visiting from division 25. Any clubs from division 24? From 23 West?
President, 23 East.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Greetings to all of you, and best wishes to you, President-designate Paul.
Thank you.
I bring greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, of which Shirley was a member. And I send condolences to all of you, and particularly to Willie, a dear friend. I am here this evening visiting from 23 East, Kiwanis Club of New Kingston, because I have a special guest. And this is Herman Metcalf, DP.
Thank you very much, DP Herman, for being
Well, there are two of us right now visiting, two of us from 23 East.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for being here, and welcome to your delegation from the New Kingston Club. Are there any other clubs from Division 23 East? And the 23 West? Okay. Any clubs from 23 Central?
Good evening, everyone. This
Good
is
evening.
PD Paula from Q1. Good evening. This is PD Paula from Kiwanis Club of West St. Andrew. And I believe I'm currently alone, but I expect, oh, somebody else is on. Secretary Designate Olinda is also on. And all the best to you, PD Paul.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paula. And of course, welcome.
Good evening, PD Paul.
Yes, good evening.
EP Marlene from the Kiwanis Club of the capital city. I'm happy to be here. But first and foremost, I would like to say condolences to our DLGE Willie Reason and his family, and to the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. And we're happy to be sharing with you this evening. And we are both four numbers. We have President Cheryl, Kiwanian Kareem, and Kiwanian Audrey. Looking forward to an awesome meeting.
Yes, thank you very much for being here, and welcome to everyone and members of your delegation. Are there any other clubs from Division 23 Central? If not, I move to our SLP.
Good evening.
Yes.
PD Peart.
Yes, good evening.
Yes.
Yes.
I, on behalf of President Layton and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Stony Hill, I too would like to add our deepest sympathies and condolence to DLG Willie on the passing of Cheryl. And I know, well, what I've learned or heard is that he has been getting tremendous support from his fellow Kiwanian brothers and sisters. So we just want to give us our own outpouring. Okay, with me this evening, I counted three of us in the room. I don't know if there are others. We have DP Dennis and DP Sharon. Can't claim PDT Ralston tonight. So we only have three. Thank you.
There's a president is online too.
Oh, he has joined. Okay.
Yes,
all right.
yes.
So it's four of us. President Layton is online. Thank you, DP Dennis.
Okay, then thank you very much, DLG Kid. Are there any other clubs from 23 Central? If not, I move to our SLPs. President Lorena, go ahead.
Good evening, PD. Good evening, PD Paul.
Good evening.
This is President Orania from the Dunoon Park Technical High School Key Club. And with me, I have Faculty Advisor Aldith Douglas, Secretary Tashoy Robinson, Clubber Donnie Graham, and Aliyah Kiffin, and the waiting room members. It is our pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much, President Orania, and of course to your faculty advisor for being here.
Good evening.
Good night.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, good evening.
Vice President Sashika Barnes from the Camperdown High School. Along with me is our President Sidon Curtis, who is unable to speak right now, and our Secretary Listania and our Assistant Kellyanne. Wishing you guys a wonderful meeting.
Thank you very much, VP Shakika.
Good night, everyone.
Yes.
This is President Joshua Brown from the Mike University College Circle K International Club, and tonight we stand in support of our beloved DLG William Reason, and here with me is District Secretary Dana Denton, and we're waiting for more members to join.
Thank you very much, President Joshua, and of course, as always, your support to the Kingston Club is duly noted, and we appreciate that. Are there any other SLPs with us?
Yes, good night, everyone. My name is Peter Doyle, VP of Kingston College Key Club. I'm representing Courtney Palmer, who currently has Courtney Palmer, who currently has internet issues. I'm the only one here right now, and I'd also like to send my condolences on behalf of the Kingston College Key Club to DLG Reason. We will definitely be praying for you, and we hope that better days will follow today. Yeah, thank you for having us here today.
Yes, thank you very much, VP Theodore and members of the Key Club from Kingston College. Are there any other SLPs? If not, any guests that are here with us? And of course, we have a special guest who will be suitably introduced later on in the program.
President Designate Paul.
Yes, good evening, VP Barry.
Good evening to you and the members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. At this point in time, I'm only seeing myself in the meeting, a meeting that I could not miss. And I really want to say on behalf of the president of the Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew, and the members there, our deepest condolences to DLG Willie on the passing of his life partner. Words cannot express the feeling that is going through myself and the members of my club. But for Willie, he has a very large, a very strong family support. And so we will be there with him and for him through time. I see my brother, my former neighbor, and as I said, I could not miss this meeting for the world. And also to say to President Richard, Major Richard Reese, congratulations on a year full of activities, and I'm extremely proud and happy to know that you have ended your year on a high note. All the very best for this meeting, and I look forward to continue to enjoy the remainder of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DP Barry.
Yes.
Yes. Are there any other any guests on this platform?
Yeah,
yes.
President Designate Paul.
Yes, DLG Stan.
I would like to introduce my brother-in-law.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
He grew up in England. Here he is.
Exactly. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. I'm living in Tampa, Florida at the moment, but I grew up in England, and I can without a doubt say that I'm representing all of the fans who used to support Mikey when he was there. right? It was a great honor to see him and to see the West Indian team play during that time, because they gave us and he gave us something to look up to. He gave us strength, right? He gave us the feeling that we could achieve something, and living there, it was wonderful. It was wonderful just to have somebody you can say, that's my man. He can do it. We can do it. We're all good and strong. We're as good as anybody else. So that's all. And I'm just pleased to be able to speak at this meeting here. And I offer my condolences, even though I don't know the person. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowan. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, PD.
PD Paul?
Yes, DP.
I think I have a guest, although I'm looking for his name, but I saw it show up. But just in case he's on, I want to welcome Dr. Clyde Morrison, who, when he saw the poster, he said, you know, he'll be there. But he said he used to play football with Mikey up in Mergrove area when they were, you know, youngsters. So that was some time ago, I guess. Okay. Anyway, I welcome him if assuming he's here. I just can't find the name right now.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, DP Stott, and welcome to your guest. President Kevon, I see your raise hand. Could you?
Good evening. Greetings on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Linstead. Congratulations, President Major Richard Rees, on a very successful year. I know that you and your team would have worked hard, and the proof is now out, sir. Congratulations to you and your team. Wishing the new admin all the best as you go forward serving the children of the world. DLG Willie, my good friend, I'm praying for you, my good friend. We're coming from far, so you know the love is there. Praying for you, my brother. God will give you the strength that you need. And just know that we are praying that he will continue to be there with you during this very difficult time. All right, thank you once again. Have a great meeting, guys.
Thank you very much, President Kevon. Thank you. That's President Kevon from the Linstead Club. Okay, President Richard, I guess that complete my role. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. We are now at apologies for absence. We have not received any apologies. So at this time, I will proceed to invite VP Designate and Bulletin Editor Newton Ramdal to do recognition of birthdays and anniversaries.
Thank you, President Richard. Good evening, everyone. You know, I have an open microphone right now, so I have to say, DLG Willie, be strong, and remember, we're all here for you. We're all feeling it, not as much as you, I'm sure, but we're all feeling it greatly. I'd also like to say to President Major Richard Rees, sir, you have shown some tremendous leadership over the last couple of months. And, you know, I, for one, I'm glad to say I have served in your platoon. And whenever you want me to sign up again for another tour of duty, sir, I will, because I know I have a good leader. All right, in terms of birthdays and anniversaries for this week, we have two birthdays. The first one is Loretta, and she's the wife of past Chairman Lowell Mason. She celebrates her birthday on the 30th of September, that is on Thursday. And also, I hope, I haven't seen him, but I hope DP Earl is on. Because DP Earl, again, I want to remind you, sir, that on Thursday, you need to remind DP Stewart that Thursday is his wife Terry's birthday, the 30th. I will not blame DP Stewart if he forgets. I will blame you, sir. So please remember, remind him.
I will do my bit, but I can't help him.
And in case he forgets, sir, you can buy a present tomorrow and give it to him and label it and give it to him for him to hand it over. All right. I don't know if there's anyone else. I don't know if there's anyone else celebrating any special occasion this week or next week who would want to share it with us. Anyone?
I celebrated today my granddaughter's 10th birthday.
Okay, sir. It's a pity you didn't bring her on like DP Earl would do and just turn on your camera so that we can see her and give her a wave. But say hello to her for us and tell her we say happy birthday.
Absolutely, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
President Designate, you noticed that thing went up a while ago with Dr. Andrew Burton's birthday is next Monday, which means he should be included in the birthdays for this week.
Okay, yes, because Monday comes before Tuesday. Dr. Burton, happy birthday. Happy birthday when it comes. He's one of the, as they would call him, energetic members of the club who has been working ever since he got here. Happy birthday when it comes on Monday, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, it's back to you, Mr. Leader, for the one more day, President Major Richard Reese.
So no more anniversary.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'm going to invite LG Giselle Reed to do a tribute in song. Over to you, LG Giselle.
Good night, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we are hearing you clearly.
On behalf of the Dunoon Park Technical High School family, we just offer this tribute to you, to your wife, DLG Willie Reeson. And we just want you to know that we love you and we're keeping you in our prayers. I hope you enjoy this song. Where would I go without your hand holding me? How could I live without you? I could not see. Oh, but what would I do in life? Where would I go? How would I handle things? All that I know, I fail again. I fall so short. Oh, you know my hand, Lord, from the start. You know my heart. I need you. I need you. Where would I go without your hand holding me? How could I live without you? I could not see. Oh, what would I do in life? Where would I go? How would I handle things? All that I know, I fail again. I fall so short. Oh, you know my end, Lord, from the start. You know my heart. I need you. I need you. When I call, you hear me. When I call your name, Lord, you're right near me. You hold my head, Lord. You're always there, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. I need need you, Lord. I need you, Lord. All right, to Mr. Reason, Uncle Willie, we dedicate this poem to you to comfort you. So sometimes in life it seems that one simply cannot cope when sorrow seems too much to bear. You feel you are alone and you're beginning to lose hope. When each dawn lies heavy as you face the day ahead with only fear, sadness, and apprehension, and a feeling of such dread. Don't you ever forget that there is a mighty power to support you at each and every hour, with a loving hand outstretched to help you and to guide you and to lead you through the shadows and to send many friends to walk beside you. May Mrs. Reason's soul rest sweetly with love, hugs, and all our support from the Key Club family. We love and appreciate you, Uncle Willie.
Very, very nice. Amen.
Excellent.
Amen. That's from Dunoon Park Technical High School Key Club. LG Giselle.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, excellent tribute. We now invite Director IPDT Ralston Nunez to introduce our guest speaker.
Our guest.
Our guest.
Mr. President, when I was asked to make this introduction, I thought, what type of chance persons were taking, because when you know things about your brethren, you have to be very careful what you reveal to John public. Mr. President, distinguished Kiwanians, by the way, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes, we're hearing you.
Thank you. Our honored guest this evening is cricket analyst, commentator, and West Indies bowling legend, Michael Holden, affectionately referred to as Mike or Mikey. However, not too affectionately, he is also named Whispering Death, allegedly by an umpire who no doubt was referring to his smooth run-up and his eventual deadly deliveries, to which persons like Jeff Boycott could attest in Barbados in 1981 that fabulous over. As a matter of fact, Boycott later referred to him as beautiful, rhythmical. But it is also the title of a book, the result of a collaboration between himself and one of cricket's greatest commentator in my mind, Tony Crozier. And so his exploits during the heydays of West Indies cricket is not only legendary, but it is also well documented. Mikey's upbringing is common to many of us, and it is no doubt reflected in the man we see today. A product of Midtown Kingston, halfway tree, his early days was not surrounded by luxuries, but rather guided by strict discipline and order. His consciousness now stems from not only seeing, but also living with the inequities of a flawed society that does not afford the same treatment or opportunities to all. His 1991 book, No Holding Back, charts his effortless transition from one of the greatest players we have known to one of the greatest pundits we have known. And it graphically describes his days as a player. But Mikey, the normally humble, quiet, and unassuming gentleman. Dwelt in the world in 2021 when, after an unplanned and very emotional interview, and with half the world watching, he bared his soul on the issue of systematic racism, what he witnessed and what he experienced. And that culminated in his latest and most telling book, titled Why We Kneel, How We Rise. And the simple message there being, if you don't kneel, I know where you stand. And so he has unintentionally become somewhat of a lightning rod for anti-racism causes. You know, but Mr. President, we are glad that he did not take the 1975 advice of the crowd in Australia as they taunted him and invited him to go back to the trees in the West Indies. And to their dismay, he became a nemesis to the Australians. But tonight, we are privileged to have in our presence and to make a presentation. Well, not really make a presentation, but to have a chat with us. A good friend, Mike. So fellow Kiwanians and friends, in presenting my brethren, I can say that, you know, the only flaw that I have detected in his run-up, and I'm speaking to life, is that he was educated on North Street. And you know, I'm bracing for the return, because when you go to North Street, your bus have a comeback. It usually comes because the brave, they say, don't yield. But fellow Kiwanians, without much more to say, because I know that we are here to hear from him, help me to welcome a proud Jamaican who has made us Jamaican proud, Mr. Michael Holden. Thank you.
Well, okay, Ross, let me come in here, because let me just describe what the format is gonna be tonight. I'm gonna lead off with a you know, a bit of a conversation interview kind of thing with Mikey, and then we're gonna open it up to the floor, right? So that everybody can get a chance, hopefully, to if what you wanted to know wasn't covered, you'll get a chance to ask him later. So in leading off, hi Mikey, thanks for agreeing to share with us this evening. It's our pleasure. I want to start in your earlier years, in the sense that I read that as a young boy, you did not particularly relish the idea of going to watch cricket at Sabina Park with your parents, because you got stuck in a chair, and you know, you didn't have your friends with you, I mean your age group. So, and that on a couple of occasions, probably all occasions, but most occasions, you went missing at the time when it was time to leave, and then they ended up having to leave you. I'm curious about what you did during those times when you were, you know, you engineered it so that you didn't have to go to Sabina Park. What did you spend that time doing? Let's start there.
First of all, Stuart, thank you very much to yourself and the Kiwanis Club for inviting me to your meeting, and thanks very much for entertaining my presence. And before I get into that question in particular, I just want to send my condolences to Willie. I didn't even know initially when I came on that Willie was going to be on this Zoom call. You know, you all know Willie as a Kiwanis Club man who has worked very hard for the Kiwanis Club. I know Willie from Melbourne Cricket Club. And Willie, just want to say, send my sympathies and of course my condolences to you. Stay strong, my brother. Yeah, well, getting to this situation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Willie. Well, getting to the question now, Stuart, about the situation with me and Sabina Park. what you people have to remember is that those days I was a very young man. I'm talking about early teens. And of course, I wasn't interested in sitting down in a metal chair, the Southeastern stand. If people who are old enough to know the Southeastern stand at Sabina Park, you sat in a metal chair there the entire day. And at that age, no young man wants to be sitting in a metal chair for 6-7 hours for the day. So I wasn't really interested in going on the Saturdays when my parents went. Friday nights, they would be cooking all the fried chicken and the rice and peas and the fried plantain and all that food that I loved. But at the same time, I had to sacrifice something. I couldn't sit in that chair, so I disappeared. And what I did, Stuart and everyone, was I played. Instead of going to watch, I played. I lived on Dunrabbing Avenue. The family lived on Dunrabbing Avenue. Behind our house was a big gully course, Sandy Gully. People again who are familiar with that part of Kingston.
Near to Calabar, right?
And of course, once it didn't rain, you could go down there and play cricket, play football, ride skates on the paved area of the gully, play marbles, that sort of a thing. And so that is how I spent my day. And people would then figure, well, your parents are away for the entire day. How do you survive? What do you eat? Well, those who grew up in Jamaica those days would know about running a boat. And that's what we did. Everybody collected up a little penny here, a half penny there, a twopence there, a threepence there, and would buy ackee, would buy some saltfish, would buy some flour, and would run our boat. We'd cook, and that is what we ate for the entire day. And my parents at that stage, they knew I was safe. It wasn't a matter of them worrying, where is Mikey? What is going to happen to Mikey? At that stage, growing up in Jamaica in the 60s, no one worried too much about where the kids were because it was pretty safe. So I had a very enjoyable day. And when they got back, they weren't very happy. Sometimes they were that unhappy that I would have to suffer a few lashes, but that was life. I had to sacrifice a few things to enjoy myself.
Well, that's I'm gonna have the kind of details that you just provided. But moving on now, when you went to KC, I think I was 64 if I got my facts right.
Yes.
I heard a situation where you had a bigger brother who could sing, and therefore, Douglas Forrest thought, well, let's kind of rope you into the choir, but you're trying to discourage him. Tell me how that worked out.
Well, we got gathered in the assembly hall at KC. And of course, Douglas Forrest heard, oh, Michael Holding, younger brother of Ralph Holding. Of course, my brother was in the choir and the lead treble and appeared on a few records and that sort of thing. And he figured, in the family, younger brother must be able to sing as well. And I had to tell Mr. Forrest, that is not one of my fortes. I can't sing. I said, no, you have got to be able to sing. And he gave me something and said, sing that. I don't think I finished the first sentence. And he said, yeah, you're right.
So I guess then in terms of extracurricular activities, you got involved in other sporting activities. Now, I looked at your website and I saw something about a record. Now, I don't know if at the time, I don't know if you have updated the website, so I don't know if it still stands, but you said that you were class 4 high jump. You had a class 4 high jump record at KC. Tell me about that, and were you involved in any other aspect of track and field?
Well, I'm not too sure which website that is because I haven't had a website for many, many years. I think in England started a website for me and I used to add a few things to it. And then I would think perhaps 15 years or so, I haven't even looked at that website.
Okay.
But that is a fact about the class 4 high jump record. I don't remember exactly what it was. Something like 4:10 3/4, 4:10 and a half.
I think I saw 4:11 and a half or something in that region. Just under 5.
I don't remember what it was.
5.
But to be honest, Stuart and everyone, I don't really pay much attention to that record anymore because I don't think people go to KC or go to high schools as young as I did those days. And so I'm not too sure about what's happening with class 4 at schools these days. But I did high jump at school. I represented KC at champs. Mario McLennan and myself went and did class 3 high jump for KC. Don't remember what year that was, but many, many years ago. So that is my claim to fame as far as KC and champs is concerned, because all the years I was at KC, we did not lose champs. Raleigh, you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah, but for a man who live and done, Robin, Calabar was just a couple steps up the road.
Yeah.
And he chose not to go.
Exactly.
And he chose to go to Kingston College.
Exactly. I prefer to take a couple of buses to get to KC than to walk to Calabar.
Father, you
All right.
Parties forever.
All right. You say, Raleigh, just set up yourself there, say that. Anyhow, let me go on to this now. Obviously, at what age did you start to? Were you playing cricket? You're playing cricket in the gully. So when you started to play at KC, how did that evolve? I mean, and I realize you were eventually captain of the Sunlight team, but give me a little of the evolution into the cricket.
Well, I started playing cricket down at Sandy Gully. And of course, we played that little community, Red Hills community, played in the Ranking Cup. Again, that is something that we have lost in Jamaica, that competition, that again, so many youngsters got groomed in that competition. So Red Hills Oval, Red Hills Road area played in the Ranking Cup. That's the first formal game that I played. I played my first formal game with an umpire at about age 10. Because the guys in the area ran up to the back fence and shouted, Mrs. Solin, can Mikey play for us today? And of course, those days I didn't have any cricket equipment. So my sister had to then drive me to Tropical Plaza to buy a pair of white trousers. And we didn't even go to a sports goods store because I don't think she knew where a sports goods store was. And of course, at my age, how would I know it either? So she just went to a department store and bought me a pair of dress white trousers, which I was embarrassed to wear to go and play cricket. But then I had to. I wore that on a white t-shirt. Then, of course, I played for Melbourne Cricket Club. And that is how Trevor Parchment, who was at KC then, the sports master at KC, heard that I was playing for Melbourne. Again, minor cup. Not any big competition that a lot of people would know about. But I played minor cup. And Mr. Parchment heard that I was playing minor cup for Melbourne and approached me and said, hey, if you are playing for Melbourne, why don't you turn out and try and play for KC, play for your school? So that is how I turned out and went to practice and that sort of a thing. I think Mr. Parchment was pretty instrumental in getting me into the final 11, because I'm not too sure that the captain really wanted me in the final 11. Because I think we were playing against Kingston Tech. I think my first game was against Kingston Tech. And although I was supposed to be a fast bowler, I didn't get the ball to bowl until about 4 other people had bowled. Opening bowlers, couple of spinners, and then he decided, okay, we're not getting enough wickets, let us see what this youngster can do. And that's when I got the ball, and I think I got a wicket in my very first over. And that's how things started with me at KC.
But I heard that you actually started off bowling off spin. Is that correct? And then tell me if that's correct.
Yeah, but that's at the cash it should be level, what you were talking about earlier on. I know off spin in official cricket with umpires. I used to bowl off spin as a little boy. Before I even got to double figures, I was bowling off spin. And then because of cash it should be, as you know, no umpires. And the guys would keep their legs in front of the stumps. Can't get them out LBW because there's no umpire to give them out. The only way you can get them out is to get them out caught. And if you're bowling, it's unlikely you're going to get the catch yourself. So you form partners, and if you had some other guys that were fielding, and I decided, okay, they're going to keep their legs in front of the stumps. I'm going to try and bowl fast to make sure if I hit them on the leg, it will hurt. And the next time they see me with a ball, they won't keep their legs in front of the stumps. And that is how I departed from being an off spinner to trying to bowl fast. But again, at that age, you're not really bowling fast, but you're bowling faster than a spinner would do. And with a cork and tar ball, as you know, they have no pads either. And the cork and tar ball would hurt.
Gary. Okay. So at that stage now, was there a seminal moment when you felt cricket is what I want to do? I mean, I want to pursue this. Where do you think that moment took place?
That moment never took place, Stuart. When I was at KC, I tried to do everything. I played cricket, I played football, I played Coles football. I represented KC at Coles football. I like to tell people that I played on the same team as Howard Bell. But of course, that didn't go very far. But I played a little bit of table tennis. I couldn't make the final squad for table tennis because the guys that were playing table tennis for KC those days were fantastic table tennis players. But I used to hang out with them and bounce around. And of course, I played a little bit of basketball. I did a little bit of athletics. So whatever sport was going on, I tried to get involved. So I was not really concentrating on any one particular sport. But again, it was Trevor Parchment who came to me when I was playing football one day because I was in the goal, I was playing defense, I was all over the place. And he came to me and said to me, Mikey, I think cricket is your thing. You know, I think you could do okay at cricket. Again, I wasn't really interested in concentrating on any one particular sport. But when your sports master who played 10 different sports comes to you and says something like that, it kind of lingers in the head for a while. And then I got more opportunities to play cricket than anything else at Melbourne, because although Melbourne played a little bit of football, that soon died. And Melbourne became basically a cricket club instead of just a club. And of course, with so much opportunity to play cricket, I got a little bit more proficient in cricket.
I find that very interesting because later on in
Danny Germs.
Yeah. Later on in life, I've seen where you have described yourself as or your life as being unplanned, and you took each moment as it came, and this is a good example. You didn't plan it, but it just happened, and you gravitated into it. So let me ask you then, at that stage, as you were developing, because I know you're part of Jamaica's under-19 with both, I think, Jeffrey Dujan and Seymour Newman. Now, yes. he branched off into athletics. With your rhythmic run, some people always wonder, were you ever tempted to do, that kind of track?
I did track at school in Stuart, but again, for the non-KC people, I could not get into the final squad for any event at KC with my athletics. That's why I had to do high jump. I think I could have done a little bit of hurdles, but I wasn't strong enough when I was doing hurdles to get to the winning post, because I used to lead the first 6, 7 and then fall down because I wasn't strong enough to get all the way. But there were so many brilliant athletes at KC when I was there. I had absolutely no chance of representing KC on the track at school. But, I just said I didn't really plan things. Things just fell into place as time went on. I got more opportunities to play cricket, as I said, and of course that took over. The more I played and the further I got in the game, everything else took a back seat.
Okay, so what about your coaches in your formative years now? Can you describe, or can you tell us anyone who may have had a really significant impact on their future development?
I had quite a few people that had some sort of input in my cricket. Again, I wouldn't call them coaches. No one really came and coached me to say, put your left foot here, your right foot here, your left elbow, that sort of thing. The only person who tried to do that was a friend of my dad, Teddy Griffith. And I wasn't very comfortable with what he was trying to do. And I told my dad, don't make him come back, because I wasn't comfortable with what he was trying to get people to do. But people at Melbourne, I've had so many people at Melbourne who have nurtured me one way or another, has helped me, has given me tips in one way or another. And I can go back to my early days with my minor cup and junior cup captain, a gentleman by the name of Sleepy Chen. Then you go to Roddy Williams and George Sterling. And then there are 2 spinners at Melbourne who helped me a lot. And spinners helping a fast bowler, people will say, how come? But these guys knew the game. One was Bruce Wellington, a left-arm spinner, and the other one was Arthur Barrett. And I talk about those 2 gentlemen a lot. They knew the game. They helped me a lot with what I was trying to do as a fast bowler. And even with exercises. I remember Arthur Barrett, who we used to call Doc, introducing me to certain exercises to help me to strengthen my legs, which I then introduced later on to Courtney Walsh. So, the path was there. Those people at Melbourne helped a lot. You don't get that much happening now at the club level in Jamaica or perhaps around the Caribbean, because people don't have as much time now as they had then. But those people were always around, always looking to help youngsters.
Okay, so let's fast forward through some of their early first class period. You know, maybe you could tell us a little bit about that. And then get to that first tour to Australia. But give us a little of the intermediate part with Melbourne and, you know, your first class period at that time.
Well, I was still at school when I was called up to go and to trials for Jamaica, and then of course got into the squad for the Jamaica team. And the first time I actually played for Jamaica, I think I was 19 years old. And Maurice Foster was the captain then. The first time I got into the squad, Easton Morris was the captain, but again, I was 13th man. I think they just included me into the squad the year before to sort of blood me, to let me understand what playing for Jamaica was like. And I then played under Maurice Foster. And when I went out onto the field that first day to play, because those days Sabina Park was packed from before the first ball was bowled until the last ball is bowled.
Yes.
And there was a lot of talk about, you know, this young Michael Holding, he's fast, he's still at KC, but you know, whatever. So in my head, I was saying, hey, this place is packed out. There's talk about me being fast. I've got to run in and show these people that I am fast. And I was sprinting in, running in a lot quicker than I would have been doing at KC. And after 4 overs, I was dead beat. I was out on my legs. And I was walking down to third man. It was a right-hander batting. And to the right of the southeastern stand was the bleachers. You had the commentary box upstairs with Linda Delapin and those guys. And to the right of the commentary box was the bleachers. And I walked down to the wall of the bleachers, and people were saying things from the bleachers. I couldn't even hear what they were saying. I put my left hand on the fence because I have like a chicken wire fence in front of the bleachers. And I never forget it. Put my left hand on the fence and turned around in time for the first ball of the next over. And I'm counting each ball as it is bowled. And I'm hoping this ball or this over is going to take about 20 balls because I'm trying to get back my breath. And I'm thinking to myself, please don't let Maurice Foster ask me to bowl another over. Please don't let him. And it so happened that he said, come, this is the 5th one. And bowling that 5th over, I don't think I could remember one ball that I bowled. I was just going through the motions and hoping not to fall over because I was nowhere fit enough to be playing first class cricket.
So clearly for that 75-76 tour now, what Clive Lloyd, I think, was instrumental in saying he wanted you on that tour. What do you think he saw at that time? Did you have any particular performances that stood out that you think could have influenced him to say, you know, I want Mikey to come to Australia?
I don't think I had any outstanding returns, you know, like 5 for this or lots of wickets. But I think I bowled quickly enough in some Shell Shield games leading up to 75 for Clive Lloyd to think this guy has some potential. I bowled against him twice. I remember in Jamaica and also in Trinidad, in Guyana, before that 75-76 tour. And I got some early wickets in Guyana, and as everybody knows, that border pitch is pretty flat. I got Khalid Charan and Fredericks out early. And I think from those performances, from those glimpses, Lloyd decided, hey, this guy looks as if he has some promise. Let's take him to Australia. But I'll tell you, when I went to Australia, I did not expect to be in the final 11 at all. They took about 16 of us, I think, or 17 to Australia. And when you have people like Keith Boyce and Van Bernhold and Andy Roberts and Bernard Julian and Lance Gibbs as bowlers already in that squad, you don't expect 21 years old, having never taken a 5-wicket haul in a game for your own country, to be playing for the West Indies. But there are quite a few lead-up games playing against the States before the first test match in Brisbane. And I got some wickets in some of those games. I got some runs. But even so, we're now going to play against Queensland before the first test match in Brisbane. And Derek Murray is the one who came to me at practice leading up to the test match and said to me, Mikey, you're not going to be playing against Queensland because I play against every state. You know, I'm a youngster down here learning. I'm playing every state game. And Derek Murray came to me and said, Mike, you're not playing against Queensland. And I'm worried now, I'm wondering what I did. Because, you know, 21 years old in Australia, you know, you tend to spend a few nights out. And I'm thinking, when they found out that I had gone somewhere, done something. And then I am saying to myself, what is going on here? But I was afraid to ask Derek exactly why. And eventually I said, why am I not playing? And he said, because you're going to be playing the first test match. I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked that I was going to be playing that first test match. But, you know, that's how I got my little start, by performing well against the state teams leading up to the first test. I won't tell everybody put your finger in your ears. I got no wickets in the first test.
Okay. And how many tests were there in that series? I mean,
there were 6
used to be
test
5, but I don't
series.
know. 6, okay.
Yes. And we lost that series 5-1.
Yes. I remember that you could call it a Sheller King, right?
Yes.
But but you guys seem to have learned a lot down there. Because okay, after that series, it was England next, right?
No, India in the Caribbean first.
Oh, okay, before. But
yes.
the next tour, I think, was England, am I right?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. And that was the series with Tony Gregg and the graveling, right? Wasn't that was that series?
Yes, that's correct.
One of the things that I've looked at is the speak. Well, that series was the one that has your greatest performance at the Oval.
In terms of
based
numbers.
on what I've looked. In terms of, yes, the straight statistics.
Yes.
And what I remember them saying about it is that oval pitch was a very flat pitch, but somehow it didn't seem to matter to you. How did you get that kind of pace that everybody else was saying it was such a flat pitch?
Well, what I did is I took the pitch out of the equation. I bowled full as possible. There was a little bit of swing going on there because, you know, the ball stays a long time in the air. It does tend to do a little bit of movement. And in England, although it was hot that summer, there was still a little bit of movement around, a little bit of swing. So what I did was bowl as full as possible to take the pitch out of the equation. And if you notice, out of those 14 wickets, 12 of them were either bowled or LBW. So that's what I was doing, just using pure pace and a little bit of swing. The pitch didn't really matter to me at that stage.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. That makes sense. That particular performance, you got 14 for 149. Is that your best bowling performance? I think that is, in terms of the statistics.
In terms of statistics, yes. I wouldn't really put that in the top 5 of my performances as a bowler. But as far as numbers are concerned, you'd have to say that's my best.
Well, when you went back to Australia, there was an innings at Perth where you did 6 for 21. I think that was really, that would have been, is that one of your top 5?
Definitely, definitely. That would have to be one of my top 5 for sure. I think the test match you're talking about is, I came on as first change. No, that was, I might be mixing it, but I think I came on as first change in that test match because Malcolm Marshall, I think, and Joel Garner took the new ball. And Joel Garner was running into the wind, what they call a Fremantle Doctor, which is a very stiff wind at Perth coming off the Swan River. And he said he didn't want to continue bowling into the wind. And Lloyd said, okay, and gave me the ball. And he would then follow Malcolm Marshall from the other end. Well, I don't think Bird got back the ball in that game because I think Australia made 76 or something like that, or got bowled out cheaply. And I think that might have been even Courtney Walsh's first test match, and he didn't bowl one ball in the first innings. He didn't bowl one ball in that innings. Didn't get a chance to see the ball.
Yeah, I think there is a match, and I think that would be, it was at Perth in that same, when you went back to Australia. And there's something I've watched on video, which I really find very funny. You were on a hat trick. You had 2 successive wickets, but the guy who you got the second wicket, a guy named Carl Rackman or something like that.
Rackerman.
Yeah, he was, if he could have stood up at square leg and just stretched the wicket, stretched the bat in front, he would have been at square leg, because he was really, he wasn't even in, he didn't even take up a position in front of the stumps. And then you just bowled him. I thought that was really funny. You remember that one?
Yeah, well, he's not the only one in Australia. There were quite a few in the lower order that didn't really want to get behind the line of the ball. I remember Rodney Hogg doing something similar. Rodney Hogg got bowled off his pads, leg stump. The ball was missing leg stump, but because he was backing away so much, it ricocheted off his pads and went back onto the stumps.
Yeah, I think you got him before, and then you got Rackerman after that, and then you're on a hat trick. Yes,
yeah.
But I that was just amazing. I mean, you know, but I've heard you say that Test cricket is not as exciting as it used to be, and I'll follow up and say what you actually said. You said that because of the frequency of the matches, they're having a lot of matches, and therefore fast bowlers don't really get a chance to rest, because they can't reproduce that kind of form at that frequency. Now, I don't remember the date when you said that, but so I don't know if your views have changed, but could you comment on that?
Well, it has gotten worse, Stuart. When I said that, they did not even have 2020 cricket at the time. And now they have 2020 cricket, and now they have 100-ball cricket. And as we have seen, the pressure on cricketers these days is just too much. And we're not just talking about the physical stress, we're talking about mental stress as well. You had some fantastic cricketers that have had to pull out of series because of mental stress. The last series in England, Ben Stokes did not play because he was suffering from mental stress. There's just too much cricket being played. The fast bowlers, England are lucky that they have about 6 or 7 of them, and they can keep on rotating them. But if you just have 4 or 5 fast bowlers in your squad, at some point they're going to break down because of the amount of cricket that is being played. We see even batsmen having stress now from the workload. Virat Kohli just recently said he's going to give up the captaincy in 2020. He just wants to play as a batsman because he wants a little bit of time to relax and be away from all the stress of captaincy. The amount of cricket being played is not helping the standard of cricket that we are producing.
You know, okay, that point about the mental stress, I want to go back to something that I'd heard earlier. Or I remember the time when the idea of taking a sports psychologist. Well, granted, the frequency is one problem, but the mental part as well. I remember when there was talk about a sports psychologist should go with a team. And I remember persons, I've never heard you comment on this, but I remember hearing persons like Maurice Foster, I can't remember him, scoffing at the idea because in his day, as it were, you know, this wasn't done. It's like you must get tough on your own, and you talk to the captain is there, or a senior player is there. Maybe, I don't know what your views were then, but do you subscribe to the view that kind of support is vital?
It is vital for some people, Stuart. I don't think, me personally, I don't think I would have wanted it. You know, Rudy Webster was around in my time, and Rudy Webster used to deal with some of our cricketers and help them with mentally and to deal with what they were going through. I never ever sat down with Rudy Webster in that manner. I sat down with him and talked to him as the manager of the World Series cricket and being around the West Indies team. But everyone is different. What first needs to also recognize is that these days, with the amount of cricket being played, it's a slightly different situation. People these days come under mental stress because of the volume of work that they're doing. And also, a lot of them pay attention to social media, and that doesn't help. If you look at some great people around the world right now, Simone Biles has just decided that she's going to give up her career.
Yes.
Naomi Osaka is struggling with mental stress right now. Ben Stokes did not play in the last series in England. It is real. it is not something that people can brush off and say, oh, he's soft. Because Ben Stokes ain't soft. I know Ben Stokes. I don't know Naomi Osaka. I don't know Simone Biles, but I know Ben Stokes, and he ain't soft. So it's something that people have to recognize in today's world, that it is real and people have to deal with it.
Okay. I want to move towards a point where I can start bringing in our audience, but a couple of things I just want to get at. A couple of quotes you have. And I'm curious to know who you might have been addressing. That is if you even remember it. The quote I have from you is that you have a bat in your hand, you should use it. Do you remember saying something like that?
I might have even said that more times than once, but maybe under different circumstances. You know?
Yes.
I might be talking about then when batsmen need the bat to defend themselves or to do whatever their job is to do, and I might have made reference to it in that way. But that is something that I would have used more than once.
And here's another quote that I have. Now, this is not your quote, but your name is in the quote. It was by Ian Botham. He said, I don't ask my wife to face Michael Holding, so why should I go home and wash nappies? Did you ever hear that?
No, I didn't hear that one before, but again, I wouldn't doubt that Beefy would have said that. Beefy was one who would just say whatever came to his mind. But I remember him saying at one point that Pakistan is somewhere that you send your mother-in-law, not somewhere you go. But that's Beefy.
And you have an interesting record. Sometimes people have records and they don't even know. Now, I'm not sure if you know this one or if you are even aware of it. But your total runs in Test cricket was under 1,000 runs. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that you had the record for the most sixes for anybody in Test cricket under 1,000 runs?
Yes, I'm aware of that, but I was told that by our statistician at Sky, Benedict Berman.
Yes,
he knows
36
everything, and he told me that.
Wow. And you know, at the point at which you ended your career, I mean, your bowling stats were extraordinary. I mean, in the 21, I mean, there are not many that come better than that. Let me just touch a little bit on that over. Yes, that over that everybody talks about as being the greatest over in Test cricket. No, I'm not going to ask you to describe it, because I heard you say that was what people said was the greatest over, but you are not so sure that was your greatest over. Tell us what you think was your greatest over, or maybe a top two, if that is possible.
I would think I bowled more than one over better than that one, the boycott. I think that one got all the accolades because boycott kept on talking about it. And of course, boycott wants the entire world to think that because he made no runs, it had to be a great over. But I have bowled better overs without even getting a wicket, because as far as I'm concerned, my great overs are overs where the ball pretty much does what I want it to do more times than it doesn't. And I remember bowling an over in Australia where I got rid of Rick Darling and Greg Chappell in that very same over. And when you get rid of batsmen like that, two batsmen in one over like that, you're not talking about 9, 10, and 11. Two batsmen, one open the batting, one batting at number 3. You have to consider that to be a pretty good over.
Okay. So I see the context. Now I can't let you go before talking about T20 cricket. We all know how you feel about T20 cricket. But what I want to ask you, and we have heard your comments about it in terms of well, let me not elaborate on that. But what I want to ask you is, have you been able to, either in retrospect now, been able to see any value in T20 cricket? I mean, you know, it won't replace Test cricket in your head, but I mean, has it contributed something? And that's what I want to ask you.
Yes, definitely it has. If you look at the fielding that's going on now in cricket, in all forms of the game. I think T20 cricket has helped in that regard. You see a lot more dynamic fielding, you see a lot more athletic fielding, and I think that is because of the shorter forms of the game, and especially the shortest, which of course is 2020 cricket. But what I would say, and I would argue this point with anyone, is that any good is far outweighed by the bad. And I don't see that as a good prospect for world cricket.
Okay, so one of the things that I would probably throw in the mix, it has allowed a lot of cricketers to earn some pretty good money and probably stay in the game. What do you think about that aspect of it?
As far as earning money is concerned, I have absolutely no problem with cricketers who want to go and play 2020. I've said that on numerous occasions. I would never, ever blame any of them. And if I was in my 20s today, I would go to the IPL if invited. You can't ask someone to go and turn down a job that is only 6 weeks, or even if it's 2 months, that's earning them 600, 800,000 US dollars. There's no way you can ask anyone to do that. But that is what a cricketer should be looking at. He's looking at his earning power. He's looking at feeding his family. What I'm talking about is the people who are supposed to be in charge of the game, the administrators. They are the ones who organize 2020 tournaments. A cricketer has never organized a 2020 tournament. And the administrators are responsible for the nurturing of the game. 2020 is not nurturing the game. 2020 is pretty much destroying the game in a lot of poor countries. 2020 is why West Indies can't win a test match on a regular basis now, because all our cricketers are playing 2020 because our board cannot afford to pay them what 2020 tournaments are paying them. West Indies, Sri Lanka, New Zealand, if you look at the amount of cricketers that those countries have lost to 2020, you say it helps to keep cricketers longer in the game, longer in playing, yes, but not longer in test cricket. Moeen has just retired from test cricket because he doesn't want to continuously play a bit away from home. He's right now in Pakistan. Same Pakistan that his team, England, did not want to go. He's there playing right now because of 2020.
Okay.
Brett Lee retired from playing test cricket for Australia to go and play 2020. Brendan McCullum retired from being captain of New Zealand to go and play 2020. So the poorer nations are losing their test cricketers to 2020. And I cannot see how the game itself is benefiting from that. Yes, the cricketers are. And as I said, I would have gone myself if it was open to me in my 20s or 30s. But I am a cricketer and I'm thinking of the cricketers. You as a parent, Stuart, are a parent walking past a candy store. The child is going to want to go into that candy store and buy every candy that is available and even perhaps eat all of them right there in the candy store. That is what that child does. But you as a parent, you're supposed to say, no, that is not going to work. I ain't going to take you to the dentist next week. You cannot just eat pure candies. And that is what administrators of this great game cricket should be doing. Yes, the cricketers want to play every 2020 tournament wherever they are because there's a lot of money in it. But the administrators should be saying to themselves, this is not good for the game. But all they are looking at is the bottom line. How much money can we reap from the game? Not what we can do for the game, but how much money we can reap from the game.
Okay, I just have one more question. I mean, I have a lot more, but I'm gonna just stop at the next one and then open it up. So I just want you to, I've heard where you have said that the Kerry Packer series was a significant turning point in, well, maybe in your life, but in terms of the cricket. I want you to just expand on that, and then I'm gonna open up the discussion to our audience.
Well, Kerry Packer was very significant for both myself and for the game of cricket. I went to play Kerry Packer again because of the money. Talking about going for money, yes, that's why I said if I was a young man today, I would go and play the IPL because I went to Packer for the money. I was earning $600 per tour playing for the West Indies, and I gave that up and went to university. Mr. Michael Manley gave me a scholarship to go to University of the West Indies, and that is where I was when Kerry Packer started, and then I went back to cricket. So he changed my life totally, and I'm grateful to him for changing my life, because the life that I've lived as a cricketer, I've enjoyed it tremendously. I've had a very good standard of living. I've been able to send all my children to university, all that because of cricket. But what I'd also say is Kerry Packer's cricket changed the world cricket, because people then recognize that if Kerry Packer could find the money to pay cricketers properly, then administrators around the world, we have got to also find that money, so that when they went out and looked for sponsors, and more sponsorship came into the game, and more money came into the game. Before Kerry Packer, an England cricketer got £200 for a test. As soon as Kerry Packer came along, an England cricketer got £1,000 a test, 5 times the amount of money. So you could see immediately that everything was changing all over the world. So it changed the world, the cricket changed the world totally as far as cricket is concerned. As for my life, changed my life totally.
All right, I won't even bother to go into your post-cricket career. At this stage, I just want to ask, I mean, it may come up after, but I just ask any of our audience who would like to ask, you know, Mikey a question to just indicate that, and so we can broaden the discussion.
Thank you, Stuart. May I?
Okay, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Michael, to me, is an absolutely wonderful cricketer. But he is much more than a cricketer. As a person, he has brought some amount of influence and attention to certain other aspects of life in general. And I refer to his remarkable interview during a particular test when there was a break, in which he spoke to the issue of systematic racism, not only in cricket, but in life in general. And I'm sure that there are certain things that would have propelled him to make those remarks, which in my mind, he had harbored for quite a while. Would you be able to divulge to us what propelled you to make those statements that was so significant to the Black Lives Matters movement?
Well, Raleigh, I'll give you the full story with that. And I just said I've harbored those thoughts in my mind for decades. But of course, I never got the opportunity to talk about them. I was never asked about them. And I can't bring up something like that in a cricket broadcast. That's not my job. My job is to talk about cricket and talk about what's happening on the cricket field. But I'll tell you exactly how that came about. As you know, George Floyd was killed in America. He was murdered in America. And Sky had just employed Ebony Rainford Brent, a Black cricketer, the first Black woman cricketer to play for England. Sky had just employed her. And as you know, it was during COVID times in 2020. And they were having a cricket meeting. This cricket department was having a meeting on Zoom, as we are now. And they asked Ebony to talk about her experiences as a Black woman, because that was the topic of Black Lives Matter. And she had gone on a few marches and that sort of a thing. And they asked her to talk. And she broke down in that meeting. She was brought to tears in that meeting. And the boss, Sky Cricket boss, Brian Henderson, who is my immediate boss, decided there and then that he had to do something. Sky had to do something. We couldn't just let this die like that. So I was still at home. He called me. He told me what had taken place, because I was not involved in that Zoom call. And he said, Mikey, we don't even know if cricket is going to be on this year, because at that point, they didn't know if they were going to have a series in England. But Ebony has spoken to us and broke down in this meeting. We want to do something with her to talk about her life, her experiences, and growing up and playing cricket for England as a Black woman. And we're wondering if you would be willing to take part. We want to record you as well about your life and your experiences. And I said, absolutely, definitely, I'm ready for this. It so happens that they decided, yes, they were going to have cricket, but because of COVID, Brian Henderson called me again, because last year I was 66 years old, and they said the period or the age group that were more vulnerable, 65 and over. So he called me and said, Mikey, your cricket on, we're starting in July, but you don't have to come because you're in the vulnerable group. And I told him there and then, no, Hendo, I am coming. If there's cricket, I am coming. He said, no, you don't have to. I want to make that clear and we'll still pay you. I said, I don't care. I am coming. So I went up and they waited on me to finish my quarantine period. And then they came to my house and recorded what you saw as a video. They did a video of Ebony, a video of myself. And that was what was supposed to go out that morning. And not even that morning, it was supposed to go out at lunchtime. But with the weather as it was, Hendo decided he would play it out before start of play and have me and Ebony to talk about what the video. I was in the wet area, the area that we call a wet area when it rains, that's where you have your studio. And Ebony was actually in the commentary box. So when they played out the video, Ian Ward then turned to me and said, well, Mikey, what was that like, looking down the lens of a camera and talking about your experiences? And that gave me the opportunity to expand on the video and to say a lot more. When I was finished, I understand that I spoke for 4 minutes. I didn't even know how long I spoke for, and I could have spoken for a lot more if I hadn't gotten a little bit emotional and decided I needed to stop. Because that is something that has been bugging me for years. And as I have said and written on so many occasions, sometimes you just shrug it off and say, let's move on. You know, I ain't gonna face this. But I was given the opportunity. I was glad I was given the opportunity, and it just came pouring out.
Okay. Who else would like to ask Mikey a question?
Can I be allowed, Stu?
Sure, Chris. Go ahead.
Hi, afternoon, everyone.
You have some hands up here.
Okay, let me monitor that.
All right.
Go ahead, Chris.
Yes. Mike, I remember as a young man, watching a test match at Sabina Park against India. A match which, well, it wasn't finished in the usual way. And people said it's because you were bowling a little bit too hostile and the Indian batsmen didn't want to come out. Do you recall that match? And can you tell me exactly what
Yeah,
happened?
1976. Yes, I remember that test match.
Yes. No, I'm just trying to figure out exactly what was happening, why India didn't believe that they ought to continue batting.
Well, a few of them got hurt in the test match. Van Bernholder hit a couple of them. I remember him hitting Anshuman Gaikwad, I think. No, Patel, I think he hit on his jaw. I hit Anshuman Gaikwad on his jaw. Vishwanath, I think, got a broken finger. There were a lot of people that were being hit. And Betty decided that with himself and Chandrasekhar and Prasanna and those guys at the bottom, Venkat, they weren't good enough players to go and negotiate the fast bowling. So he decided to declare the innings closed, I think, with 6 wickets down.
Yeah. Was it the pitch, or was it just that the bowling was good?
Well, I'm not too sure about good. I know it was hostile.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna go over the chat. Is that you're finished, Chris?
Yes, I'm true.
Okay. Okay, good. Kevin Jones is the next hand. I'm gonna go down the line. Kevin, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you very much, Mike. So my question is, with all of the experience that you have playing cricket around the world and giving fantastic commentary in a lot of different countries, what can you say or shed light on with regards to countries that are getting a lot of youngsters into cricket? What I found is that even with 2020 cricket becoming more popular globally, I am not seeing where, even locally here in Jamaica, that we have enough youngsters playing cricket. I do know that cricket can be a more expensive venture in terms of getting the pads for everybody and all of that, and preparing fields. I mean, I lament even in my community where I grew up, where we had a lovely cricket pitch, which has now been overrun and by squatters. People are squatting on the land. But in countries that have been able to get more youngsters into cricket, what are they doing? And what are some of, do you see that there are some lessons that we can learn from that to get more youngsters into cricket? I go across some of the high schools and I see some of our tall, strong young men, fantastic fast bowlers playing basketball. And I have nothing against basketball, but I just think that if we have more youngsters in the cricket, then we would be actually producing even more talent than we are producing. So that's my question. Thanks.
Well, I made a comment about that earlier on, about the fact that when I went to KC had 4 cricket teams: the junior coach, the senior team, and then the second 11, the Sunlight Cup team, and then the second 11. I don't see that number of people playing cricket anymore at any of the schools. And I think the reason for that is that because when I went to school, there weren't a lot of different activities. Today, there are so many different things for youngsters to gravitate towards. You're going to find less of them playing any sport whatsoever. I went to KC, might have been a couple years ago with Mike Atherton, when Sky did a documentary about my life, and I took them down to KC. And I saw people playing lacrosse at KC. I didn't even know lacrosse had come to the Caribbean, much less at KC. So there are other avenues for youngsters to go down. And if you want them to play cricket, you cannot sit back and wait on them to turn up. Those days are over. You've got to go out and seek them. You've got to go out and put infrastructure in place and try and get the people to come and play cricket. They're not going to just turn up. Cricket is an expensive game. It's a long game. It's a game that you need a lot of space. So you've got to put that infrastructure in place and go out and look for the people who want to play the game. They're not just going to turn up. And I don't think we are doing enough in that regard.
Okay.
Point of order, Shui, point of order. Mr. President.
Oh, yes.
I wish to move a motion that meeting be extended sufficiently to enable us to complete this rather interesting conversation.
I second.
The motion was already moved and seconded in the chat.
You know that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Great.
Okay, so not privy to the chat.
All right.
Moved by VP Newton.
Okay.
Seconded by President Designate Paul.
Okay. Is that Marcel Boyce coming with his hand up?
Yes.
Or is that another Boyce? Okay, Marcel. Your time now, Marcel.
Okay. Hi, my friend Mike. How you doing?
I'm not bad at all, man. You don't have any purple bracelet to show them?
Going again, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. Listen, quick
Same here.
Yeah, man. Good to see you. We need to get together. Listen, 2 quick ones.
Yes.
Greg Chappell. I mean, did you have, well, we just put the 2 together, right? In that same book, Holding Back, I think, you responded to some people who said the team was so good. Anybody could captain that, you didn't any captain. But I read somewhere where you made the point that if it wasn't for the leadership of Clive Lloyd, as good as the team was, as good as the individuals were, the team would not have been as successful if it wasn't for his leadership. I think I've heard this. And
yes.
The whole thing with Greg Chappell, right? Where you seem to, you had his ticket. What really was behind that?
Well, that situation with Greg Chappell and Marcel was just one series.
Yes.
Greg Chappell had a very bad year that summer in Australia.
Okay.
West Indies and Pakistan were touring. I think we played 3 test matches each. And Greg Chappell just didn't make a lot of runs against the West Indies. I think he made a century against Pakistan, but made very little against the West Indies. And that can happen to the greatest of batsmen. You just come up on a series or in a particular summer that you just can't get runs against a particular opposition, because we fast bowlers, we kind of worked him out in that series. So if you look at the history of Greg Chappell against the West Indies, you'll see that he made a lot of runs. 75, 76, he made a lot of runs against us and some other tours as well. But that particular series, I think it might have been somewhere around 82, 83. We just had the better of him. And that is just the nature of the game. When you talk about Clive Lloyd, now I will say it again. I've said it on numerous occasions, because people used to keep on saying, oh, with those 4 fast bowlers and those batsmen, all you have to do is just throw the ball to one of them and just keep on changing, and whoever you're bowling, whoever you give the ball to the bowl. What people don't recognize is West Indies have produced a lot. And when I say a lot of great cricketers over the years. The team that Clive Lloyd captained was the most successful. Now that has to be a reason. There has to be a reason behind that. It had to do with Clive Lloyd's management of that team and management of the players. He respected the players respected him. Now people will say that he had an advantage in that he was a few years older than all of us, and he was like a father figure that we looked up to. But not everyone looked up to and respected people that are older than them. You have to earn that respect. And he earned that respect. And he earned it from the way he treated his cricketers, and also the way that he did not allow politics to come into the cricket that when he was there. I heard many stories before I played for the West Indies about the politics involved, all the Fijians, the Trinidadians, the Guyanese, whatever, sticking together, and who picking who and who not picking who. Clive Lloyd did not care where the cricketers came from. He cared how good they were. He wanted a winning team. And if you were a Guyanese, it did not mean you were going to get selected because you was from Guyana. He would pick somebody from Trinidad or Barbados or Antigua or Jamaica before he picked a Guyanese if they were equal quality, because he didn't care about politics. He wanted a winning team. And that was one of the most important things then.
Okay. Understood, my friend. All right. We catch up.
Yeah, man. Take care.
Okay. Newton is next in line. Newton Ramdial.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, Mikey. It's really an honor to be on this evening. I can't compete with these gentlemen when it comes to cricket. And I'm one of them who is as proud as they are of your whispering death reputation. But I must say that the thing that I am most proud of about you, and I'm glad I get the chance to say it to your face, because I've said it to friends of mine in the past, is that you are one of the few, if not the only international star I know out of Jamaica who has maintained your accent right through. I've never heard you trying to twang or anything like that. And to me, it says something about you as a person. You are proud of your roots and you're not trying to be somebody else. That's my comment.
Yeah, well, that is just me. I am very proud of where I am from. I'm very proud of the way that I talk. And I don't intend to change that at all. As a matter of fact, I'm now retired from commentary, so I won't get an opportunity to change that. But that is just me. That's the way I was brought up, and that is the way I believe I should live my life. A gentleman, an English gentleman, came to me once many, many years ago, and he said, "Oh, I love to hear your commentary, but when are you going to lose that accent?" And I just looked at him and said, whenever Jeff Boycott loses his, I'll lose mine. He shut up and walked off.
Well, I can tell you, there are many of us who are real proud of the fact that you kept that accent. You didn't try to be somebody else, because then we were listening to somebody who sounds like us. So thank you.
Big point.
No, man, my pleasure.
All right.
Okay, I think Clovis, go on, Clovis Metcalf, your time.
Okay, good night, everybody. Although it's not Mikey's style, let me address him properly. Dr. Michael Holding.
I was saving that, you know. Go ahead.
Can I ask you, sir, what is the next chapter in the life of Mikey Holding?
Sir Mates, to be honest, I have no plans. For the next month or so, and especially next month, which is Black History Month. And by the way, I do not agree with Black History Month. I do not understand why Black history should only get 1 month. I think Black history should be taught 12 months of the year in schools and be on the curriculum, just like how every other history is. But that's another matter. For the next month, I've been asked by quite a few corporations to have a chat with them internally. That is, it's not something that is going to be publicly done. It's maybe they'll broadcast it later on, because I know quite a few of them have done that. But I have a few corporations that have asked me to speak to them about diversity and about Black Lives Matter and what they can do to change the way that they operate. So for the next month, that is what I have in front of me. Who knows what the future holds, Sir Mates? But to be honest, cricket is now pretty much on the back burner. I want to get more involved in what I'm doing now. That speech that I made, that talk that I did last year has opened a brand new door, and I ain't gonna back away from it. I'm gonna go through that door, and I'm gonna go down that passageway as long as I'm alive, and as long as I can keep on going down that passageway. Because the world is messed up, and we need to make sure that things level out. We need a level playing field, and I'm not gonna back away. I inadvertently came across a politician in England who was somewhere that I was, and he saw me and he came across to me and said, "Listen, I heard you on the radio. It sounds like you're talking to me." I said, "Yes, I'm talking to you and all the politicians. You are the policy makers, and the world needs changing." So that is my focus right now, and we'll just see where it leads to.
Okay, there's no other hand up in the chat, but maybe there's somebody who wants to come from the floor, and if not, you want to ask something, Raleigh?
Patrick Patterson.
Pato, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. What would you say about Patrick Patterson?
What would I say about him now, or talking about his cricket career?
Cricket. His potential, his unrealized potential, if there was such.
Raleigh, not just potential, but I think Patrick Patterson produced. It's just that he did not produce as long as I would have liked, and as long as a lot of people would have liked. But Patrick Patterson was one of the fastest bowlers I ever saw. And as you know, I captained Pato for a couple of years in the Jamaica team. And of course, I played with him for a brief period in the West Indies team. And Patrick Patterson was remarkable as a fast bowler. He was strong, he was powerful, he bowled extremely fast. I remember captaining him and Courtney Walsh and Aaron Daly, four fast bowlers against Leeward Island one day. I think we bowled up the Leeward Island to something like 41 or 46 or something like that. And Patrick Patterson hit Luther Kelly on his chin under his helmet. And Luther Kelly, of course, had to go off to the hospital. And when they were about 6 wickets down, because Bibb only made 4 runs in that game, he hooked Pato the first ball before the next ball he got caught fine leg by Courtney Walsh trying to hook again. And when they were about 6 wickets down, this is the story that I got. They called the hospital and told the hospital that Luther Kelly had to come back because they were running out of batsmen. And Luther Kelly said, "No, I ain't coming." No, Pato was extremely fast. I took that slips for him, and that was serious pace.
Okay, there's another hand up in the chat, Karen Tomlinson.
Yes,
you may go ahead.
Thank you very much. I don't have a question. I just want, well, it really is a question, I suppose, but not about cricket, I should say. I just want to find out if Michael remembers taking a picture with a beautiful young lady and a man named E.G. Hunter in Australia
of course.
in about 1985. DJ and I were all the way down under in Australia, and because we were the only other Black people in the group, they thought we were with the cricketers. So they allowed us to go into the areas where all the cricketers were. And I was so in love with Michael that I made sure I took a picture with him. So I'm happy to hear that you remember taking that picture.
Yes, I do. Yes, definitely. Yes,
Karen,
yes,
your
yes,
camera
yes.
is not working. Karen, your camera is not working.
I'm not as beautiful and young as I used to be in 1985.
That's not true.
So I don't want to spoil the image.
That's not true. And I met her the other day. She is as beautiful as she must have been.
That was some years ago.
Oh my.
I think it was, well, I was there 84 to 86. I think it was in 85 or sometime like that. So, and
Yeah,
I must give you this other joke.
I remember that.
I must give you this other joke because the ladies who were there thought that EG was a cricketer.
Yes, that is right.
So he
And
made
he
a
did not tell them
connection
otherwise.
exactly. So he said to me a week or so later, boy, I can't call a young lady because she thinks I'm in Perth with the rest of the cricket team. So I thought it was so funny. So thank you for that, Michael. It was really a great a blessing to meet you.
Thank you. Good meeting you too, Karen.
May I make a comment?
Okay.
I can't find the raise hand. Every time I every time I think of Mikey, I can't help but remember Brian Johnson's comment when he was bowling to Peter Willie. And he commented and said,
carefully.
no, only quoting.
No, but Earl,
Yeah.
Earl, there's no record of that here.
Eh?
There's no record of that comment.
No, when I see it off-cited quote, the bowlers holding the batsman's willy. And they said, suppose...
I'll tell you, in 2010, when I did my, Earl, in 2010, when I did my second book and went on my book tour, I went to the BBC and I asked them if they have any record of that comment, and they said no.
Oh, so let's still quote in Brian Johnson. Anyway, that's one that
people have taken it as fact, and it's not fact.
Well, this is one that we would all like to believe, because
anyway
you put the sentence, it will work the same way. I always enjoyed that comment.
Yeah, but it never really took place.
We're not in Fortis business. Leave that to you and do that. Right.
Anyway, one other little thing is that I know I have the 3 books that Mikey has, and even the one named Fast Men by David Frith. And I've never read them all through that I can remember, but every now and again I go back to them. So I even have I was trying to finish The Rise Why We Kneel and think, and to be ready for it tonight, but I couldn't finish it. But I'm still reading them, and I still have no holding back. Boy, I've enjoyed
the last
it.
one is the most important one, Earl.
Yeah, man, I know. I soon finish it. See?
This is not an easy read.
No.
It is a bit tough, but it had to be said.
Yes. And I am going through it seriously. That's why I'm not finished it.
Yeah.
The proper title is Why We Kneel and How We Rise.
You notice I have it?
Okay. We're drawing to what has to be the end. I mean, we could really go on. I mean, I have notes and stuff that could carry on, but we obviously have to come to an end at some point. But there's something else I had wanted to ask you. I think, Mikey, you have always said that the batsman, at least from your time, the batsman who you put above everybody else was Viv Richards, right? Right. So what I wanted to ask you though, after you stop playing, which is the one who you think is the best you have seen?
No, that is difficult. I've seen a lot of great players, but I want to go back to the situation with Viv Richards. You know, if I was picking one batsman to bat for my life, I would pick IVA Richards. But I want to include a gentleman from Jamaica that I think people kind of put on the back burner because he went to South Africa. But I hated the fact that he went to South Africa, but that cannot take away from his batting skill. LG Rowe.
LG Rowe.
I don't think he was as strong a person as IBA Richards, but when you talk about class and somebody with technique and somebody with skill, you'd have to include LG Rowe in that. But as I said, you know, he, as far as I'm concerned, he made a bad step, but that's not going to take away from his batting skill. But in today's world now, people that I've seen batting in recent times, you know, I've seen quite a few great batsmen since I retired. If you start with India, Sachin Tendulkar, and more recently, Virat Kohli.
Yes, man. That's my batsman.
Yes.
Kohli, man.
When you think of Australia, when you think of the fact that Smith is making so much runs, you have to rate him highly. But to be honest, I would not pay to watch him bat. But that is not his concern. His concern is to get runs for his country, and he does that. Then there's Kane Williamson from New Zealand. I think he's another fantastic player. From England, Joe Root is now doing what I thought he would have been doing 3-4 years ago, scoring centuries on a regular basis. The first time I saw him, or not the very first time, but the first year that I saw him playing for England, I thought he was going to be a great batsman. It has taken him a long time to be as consistent as he is now, but I think he's a top-class batsman. In the Caribbean now, I have never seen a batsman, and I'm not just talking about since I retired, I'm talking about all the cricket that I've played. First time I saw Test cricket was 1973, when I left KC and walk up the road and pay a man chop and so go through the gate and watch a little cricket by the fence at bleachers. From those days until now, I have not seen a batsman that has batted against spin better than Brian and Charles Lara.
Oh boy.
Never.
Absolutely.
When you talk about extreme pace, that's a different matter because I've seen him being bothered quite a bit by really fast bowlers, Wakar Yunis and them kind of guys, and even Devon Malcolm from England. But spin, never seen a batsman play spin better than Lara.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned some of the names that you have, Mikey. And recently there was a bit of a controversy regarding Lawrence Rowe. And it had to do with the painting of a mural at Sabina Park where cricketers were being put on the wall. And Lawrence Rowe was omitted. You have any thoughts on that?
Well, I expressed my thoughts about that to a member of the Jamaica Cricket Association because somebody sent me a picture. And I have a couple of the guys on my WhatsApp and I messaged one of them and said, why is Lawrence Rowe not in that mural? The man did not commit murder. We all know and we all accept, or at least most of us do. And I personally think he made a wrong step in going to South Africa during apartheid. But that again does not take away from the man's contribution to Jamaica's cricket. And I cannot understand why they would hold that against him, to put him, this is a mural, this is not something that you're honoring him with some big degree or some big award. This is just a mural on Sabina Park where all of us play. I cannot understand why they would, I don't want to use the word, but why they would just not put him in that mural. And the gentleman said that he argued for it as well and he was outvoted, but such is life.
But that is hiding facts because if you name him batsman and he's one of the greatest, he has to be put there. But
well, Earl, I am with you with that. You know, Lawrence and myself don't talk much these days, because Lawrence will not admit to me that he made a mistake. He believes he did nothing wrong. And I am adamant that he did, but that does not detract from the man's batting performances.
Yeah.
The man made 214 and 100 not out at Sabina Park in his first test. And you have him a mural at the ground and you can't put him in the mural. You're not naming a gate or a stand or anything after him. It's just a mural.
I remember.
Thank you. You might decide that whatever city committee didn't go into South Africa is so huge that they have to just wipe him out of history. I don't agree.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to ask you to move the vote of thanks at this time. Yes.
Who is that?
President Richard, fellow Kiwanians, guests. My pleasure it is to propose a vote of thanks to our guest speaker, Mr. Michael Holding, on behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. My heart is filled with gratitude and respect for such a distinguished guest speaker, for not only sharing his time with us this evening, but also for his enlightening us on things such as sacrifice, though running a boat is no great sacrifice for sitting on a hard chair in Sabina. His journey to the top and the status of cricket today, with his commendable discussion on this subject, both of his career and of cricket. Michael, you have made this evening unforgettable. Thank you very much for sharing this evening with us. It is our tradition to present our guest speakers with a certificate of appreciation for addressing us. Because we are so far apart, we cannot make that presentation this evening. But be assured, I'll make sure that I deliver this to you. And I hope that your wall is not so crowded that you can't find a little place to hang it. Michael, we really appreciate having you this evening. And once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much as well. And thanks for having me.
Oh boy.
Okay.
One little comment. This is not thanking, you know, but I remember when I was in England, I think I said Lucian reported on the Monday morning that he went and saw Lawrence Rowe bat. He said Lawrence only made 17, but he left the field because he, the spectator, left the grounds because he got more than his money's worth. That was how good he thought Lawrence was. He never watched the rest of the match.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. All right, we're going to move to the next item. We're going to invite LG Deborah Manning to brief remarks, condolence remarks, and then we'll have a poem by President Orania Thomas.
Thank you very much, President Richard. I have to speak quickly before my phone dies. I mean, the conversation was so engaging that I just did not want to leave with my phone, and so it is almost dying. But I just want to say, you know, congratulations to you, President Richard, on an excellent year, right, of leadership, right, to your club, and as well as to Secretary DLG Willie. Excellent year. You really achieved much. All right, the things that you set out to achieve, you achieved it, and for that I must congratulate you. I also want to extend, you know, my condolences on behalf of the division to DLG Willie. We're truly sorry for your loss. And I want to assure you that you are family and we take care of family. And so we are there for you. So thank you. And just to say to Mr. Holding that I don't know a thing about cricket, but I couldn't get up. You were so engaging. I want to thank you, sir, for, you know, sharing your life with us and also for being such a positive influence on our youth. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. And I invite President Orania Thomas will have a poem.
A pleasant good night to everyone.
Good evening.
This poem is dedicated to President Richard Rees and the outgoing board. It is entitled The Great Leader by Anonymous. Patient and steady with all he must bear, ready to meet every challenge with care, easy in manner, yet solid as steel, strong in his faith, refreshingly real, isn't afraid to propose what is bold, doesn't conform to the usual mold. Eyes that have foresight for hindsight won't do, never backs down when he sees what is true, tells it all straight and means it all well too, going forward and knowing he's right, even when doubted for why he would fight. Over and over he makes his case clear, reaching to touch the ones who won't hear, growing in strength, he won't be unnerved, ever assuring he'll stand by his word, bracing for war, but praying for peace, using his power so evil will cease. So much a leader and worthy of trust. Here stands a man who will do what he must. Blessings to you, President Richard Rees and the outgoing board.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yep.
That's an excellent charge.
Very nice.
Excellent.
We now move to the Sergeant of Arms, DP Desmond Bachelor, and that will be followed by notices and announcements by DLG Willie. Over to you, DP Desmond.
Thank you, President. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sir Michael Holden. I just want to find our Director Ralston, sir. Your introduction was almost 5 minutes, and I wonder if you forgot, sir, that you were not the special guest. And also, I'm charging you for not turning on your camera. That is one. Dr. Andrew Burton and the Chairman Andrew Burton and our senior Sawyer, sir. I waited and I looked for you so much to attend our SLP meeting on Saturday, sir, gentlemen, and I didn't get apologies. So I have a blanket fine for everybody, including Director Ralston, $300. But I have to just highlight those. Just a quick one for you. The Queen of a particular country did everything to entertain a visiting president. Included was a ride in the royal carriage drawn by the horses from the royal stable. While riding down a famous street, one of the animals let fly a gust of flatulence so powerful that almost measured on the Richter scale. The Queen was so embarrassed and turned to the president, exclaiming, Mr. President, I do apologize. The president replied, it's okay, Your Majesty. I really thought it was the horse.
Was it?
All right, Desmond.
That sounds worse.
You get it.
Boy.
Okay. Thank you.
What, she's supposed to feel worse after that?
Yes.
Your visa gone, you lose your visa.
We're going to move to notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. Secretary DLG Willie, we ask that you give those announcements.
Thank you, President Richard. Before I go there, let me thank all the members of the club for the kind sentiments they have expressed to me on the past of my dear wife, Shirley. And in particular, it's very good to see my good old friend Michael tonight. Mikey, Interesting presentation. Fellow Kiwanians, I don't have any notices and announcements at this time, but in terms of interclubbing opportunities, there are many, and I just mentioned some of those this week. One, tomorrow evening, New Kingston President's Award and Induction Ceremony that starts at 6 p.m. There's also Linstead's 41st anniversary meeting. The guest speaker is our own Governor, Dr. Dolores Lewis. That starts at 7:30. On Thursday night, President Michael is having his last hurrah. That's at Kiwanis Club of North St. Andrew. That starts at 6:30. And on Saturday, South St. Andrew is having their annual installation of officers. That's at 12 p.m. or noon. And New Kingston is having their installation ceremony later in the afternoon at 6 p.m. President Richard, those are the interclubbing opportunities for this week. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, DLG Willie. Our thought for the week will be delivered by DP Stuart Spencer.
Thank you, President Richard.
Sorry, before DP Stuart, before you go there, I believe Faculty Advisor Albert Douglas has an announcement to make. I believe Dunham Key Club is celebrating their 40th anniversary this week as well. So maybe perhaps you just give a little chance.
Sure, definitely. Yes. Go ahead,
Aldith Douglas.
Yes. Go ahead, Faculty Advisor Aldith.
Let us see you, DP Aldith. I don't want to find you.
Hey, you will find her.
Unable to unmute.
All right.
Oh, unable to
Okay.
unmute.
It's in the chat. It's in the chat, Willie.
Okay,
Read
yes.
it.
We acknowledge your response. Okay, we will send out those notices, Faculty Advisor Aldith. All right, over to you, DP Stuart.
Okay, thank you, President Richard. I have two quotes. First one, it's not the will to win that matters. Everyone has that. It's the will to prepare to win that matters. And the second one is never be limited by other people's limited imagination. So those are my two quotes.
Okay, thank you. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, I ask you to charge your glasses and drink a toast to Kiwanis International, Jamaica.
Land we love.
Land we love.
This
Land we
meeting,
love. Jamaica land we love.
yes, this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston